Welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name is Liv. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to be covering the total lunar eclipse in Virgo that's coming up the 14th of February, 14th of March. It's going to be happening at 2:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's a pretty important one. This is the second of the Pisces Virgo axis for the eclipses. The first one started, it was at the end of September, I think the 24th or the 20th of 2024. And it should be ending February, I think earlier, mid-February of 2027. And this is an axis that's teaching you the spiritual faith versus the practical science, how you integrate the esoteric and how you integrate life in its everyday and really work between them back and forth and just take that time to feel connected in everything that you do with God or the universe or Spaghetti Monster or God is a Woman, Ariana Grande, all of that. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and actually start. I'll be trying to put this on the screen and see if this will work. When I do readings, I record on my tablet. And so I thought, well, if I do that with readings with my clients, why don't I also try to do that and record myself as I go through the whole process for you guys to see that? So yeah, let's see if I can do this. So starting off, the Virgo total lunar eclipse. It's happening at 2:54 a.m. Sun and Saturn are going to be conjunct as well. Prior to that, during the week, we have Sun and Saturn having a conjunction, I think on the 12th. The South Node is going to be conjunct the Moon. And so what you're going to see here is truly a cleansing, truly a request for you to let go, because the South Node is what we're leaving in the past and what we're trying to accept we've evolved from. It is a tool and a resource. We would like to move towards the North Node. And while right now the North Node is in Pisces, we are actively trying to become more integrated with the spiritual as a collective. But for you, it's really about where you have Virgo and Pisces in your chart and how that plays a part. It's really asking you to let things be as they are. So let's actually break down this chart as if I were to be giving it a reading, right? So we have, I think I'm going to work down here. So we have the Sun and Saturn together. We have North Node and Neptune. So we have concrete discipline. We have a idea and a vision of the self that we are trying to feed and also give structure and also eventually obtain. The Sun here is unique. It is encompassed by what feels like destiny with the North Node and what also feels like requiring a lot of commitment with that Saturn. So these two together sandwiching the Sun is already like, hey, I need you to grow up in a sense, because we need you to hit that point that's important for you. This chart screams to me of saying we have to cleanse. Some mean things might have to be said or done to let go. In the overall cycle of what's happening transitory wise, we know later on in the month, we're going to be having Neptune entering into Aries around March 30th. So this is important because from that lunar total eclipse going into the 30th of March, you're going to see a lot of chaos. A lot of things are going to be said. And it's like, it's really imperative that you understand that between that period of time, what is happening Won't be here for long, but it has to happen, because if not, it's the last removal of said things. And so in this current cycle, you should have already been letting go in preparation for this by observing where the Mercury and Venus and Aries are in your chart, and you can work on that. So that way, the Mercury retrograding is definitely something you can take part of. Eventually, when that does start to happen towards later on this month, Venus has already been retrograding, so you've already been, kind of tested on the values of what you want, as that Venus retrograde has been kind of demanding that from you anyway. And then we have a pretty, I don't want to say emotional placement, but we have a pretty demanding Mars that's like, don't forget, this has to be something you emotionally detach from. So here, you know, let's draw this out because that's why I have this. It's just so awkward holding this up like this. So Mars is at the 18th degree of Cancer, and that is, what is that? Is that the Cancer degree of Cancer? The second decant. Um, yeah, yeah. It's in the Scorpio decant, but this square to both the Chiron and also trine to the Sun, and wide enough wide enough the Sun and the Saturn in Pisces is just like, hey, it sucks to finally let go. Maybe you've kept memorabilia, maybe you've kept letters, maybe you've kept items, and it's kind of like, for how long? You still connect the memory of that to the thing that you're clearly trying to let go. And if you don't truly get rid of everything, you're not really done with it, are you? That's why I look at the 2 weeks that are going to be happening after the 14th, all the way through the 30th, as a sort of trial period for when we really decide, were you serious about this? Were you really truly able to let it go? Because even the day of, it'll be a lot of things like reaching back to say, no, don't go. Or maybe imposing stuff so you don't go. Because Virgo is really OCD, and the moon is opposed Saturn. So the moon is like, if I can't make this work, I'll just imprison us all in this way. Have you ever seen a Virgo that is spiraling? They don't let things just simply be. They will try every single possible way until they're finally left flat on their ass and they're not able to actually make sense of anything. And then they get depressed. And I look at this axis of Virgo and Pisces, and I think you have a control freak and you have a free spirited person. Maybe that's not fair. A control freak versus someone that wants no responsibilities. You you have to figure out the balance. That is the eclipse cycle, all of them in total, going to teach you the balance. But this one is like, okay, so now that you've been super OCD, let it go. On the other side of the spectrum, not looking at that for a moment, I want you to take a quick look at Uranus. Uranus is having a trine to the south node and the moon. And it's also going to have a sextile to the sun and Saturn. Uranus makes it really easy here to kind of do that in a way, because it's like, oh, okay, I'll just mess it up. I'll just do the thing that'll probably hinder me anyway. And Uranus has been trying to get people to change since 2017, because Taurus is our comfort, and that's the sign of Venus. Uranus in the planet, the sign that Venus wants to be in, is not fun for the economy, for your own values, for yourself. And it comes really nicely with the energy that we are trying to understand with that Venus in Aries anyway, that's been retrograding. That also goes back to 2017, that Venus retrograde specifically. So it's a nice little tie-in. Now, when you think about the astronomy of the actual um, total lunar eclipse, it's like the moon's going to be really dark, like really dark. It's not seen. So the emotions are taken out of the rational thing to do here, which is why the timing of it could be a beautiful seed. Normally, a full moon is going to be super bright. But because of how dark it is, there's no rational sense of what goes on. You can take that time to just simply clean. Even if you don't have a full set out solution for how things are going to go, quite literally just throwing it out is a good start. So that way, the next 2 weeks, as we keep going into Aries season and we start the new year, you've already done your dishes, your chores, your laundry, and you're ready. Neptune is going to come in guns blazing. And we haven't started the year. I know there's been a lot, but we haven't started the year from the esoteric point of view. I feel like energetically we started this year since November of last year. And then also in January 11th, when the nodes went into the Pisces Virgo axis. I really feel like we did as well. But we're really, really starting now. So, with that, taking a look, for once, we really don't have Pluto interacting here. We kind of get a little bit of a time to just sit with that. Pluto does sextile the Juno and Sag, but I could say marrying the idea of a very far distant future where you get to be a part of something that you've detached from now. I could interpret it that way. Jupiter has a trine to Pallas Athena, learning more about the future that you can incorporate because that is conjunct the Pluto, and saying, what are all the possibilities? When you clean out your room, like your wardrobe, for instance, you now have room for new styles that you never thought of because this shirt can only be worn with these jeans because it only goes that way. So now you're locked in to that. But now that you get to remove that, you're like, okay, well, if I don't have that shirt, now these two jeans, oh, wow, like there's 200 possible, different ways I could wear those jeans with new outfits that I would purchase, right? So it's definitely important here to consider. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name's Liv. I'm here at Combust Astrology and recording this video at Casa Shanti. Thank you so much for watching.